G'day rankers, welcome back. What's happened in the Agentic space overnight? Big announcements from both Anthropic, which is Claude, and also Perplexity, remember them? But before we get to that, I'm seeing a lot of denial in this whole Agentic commerce, Agentic traffic, AI space, if you like, in the digital marketing community. And a lot of people are saying, possibly rightly so, that most of the traffic and commerce and sales still comes from Google. And they're right. Organic and paid. That's where most of the sales are coming from for most businesses these days. There are exceptions. But, and they're saying, you know, ChatGPT is a very, very small amount. And as I've even shown you, the client that is doing more revenue through ChatGPT than they are doing through Facebook paid advertising, it only represents about 1% of their revenue, right? So you would say, yeah, it's not a lot. But when you have a look at Google and what Google's doing, it's all going to be agentic because they've announced recently WebMCP, which is going to be supported in Chrome 146. And WebMCP is for agents to be able to use your browser, right? So what do you think they're coming out with? They're probably coming out with some sort of assistant in your browser. Not only that, but a lot of the traffic that you see in your organic results is actually coming from AI Overviews and AI Mode and possibly Gemini, because Google doesn't tell us where Google traffic is coming from unless it's organic or paid. They're the only sort of designations that we actually get. So whilst you could argue that, yeah, ChatGPT is this big and it might get smaller, given their run rate and how much money they've got left in the bank. But let's not forget, the world has changed because of a thing called OpenClaw. We moved to an agentic system, or I did first, and I ran it for about 1 to 2 weeks, and then OpenClaw came out. And this system was basically running my day for me. It was what I call my CEO system. I could get advice on decisions, on finances, on clients, all sorts of things. And that was just absolutely life-changing for me to have that. And it was like I've got an assistant sitting next to me in the office that I can just throw stuff to, or you know, on my phone when I'm driving and I think of, oh God, I haven't done that, I'll text Jan, because Jan's the name of my assistant. So we've anthropomorphized our assistants because it gives you a better mindset of how you can use that assistant, I think, anyway. So that's the change that it happened in our business. And OpenClaw came out, changed the world overnight. The whole AI industry has reset itself to focus on this sort of agentic assistant. And that means that's what the traffic to your websites are going to be as well. It's going to be from these sorts of assistants. Not just people using ChatGPT, not just people using Gemini or AI Mode or something like that. The world, the traffic is changing. It's a new web, right? Call it Web 4.0 if you want to, but it is changing. And so Claude's announced, they've had this thing called Cowork for a while in their apps. And it's basically for non-techie people to get things done. Like for me, I will go into Claude Code and I'll ask it to build something to make something happen. This show, for instance, usually takes 3 hours to edit. I've got Claude Code to, as soon as I finish recording, you know, do the transcription, make 3 different copies for 3 different platforms, upload to YouTube, put all the overlays on the video, all of that stuff. That all now happens automatically. You can't really do that sort of stuff with Claude Cowork, but what you can do is make sure you've got schedule reports set up on, you know, sales reports, health of your business, all that sort of stuff. And it's a really handy tool, and I would encourage you to have a look at it. And that's their big push, and they're going really hard on that, and that's their sort of assistant layer. For us, we went slightly different. We've got Claude Code, and then we've built around that, mirroring a lot of the stuff, a lot of the good stuff that OpenClaw had, not the security stuff. And that's working really well. I've got a couple of models working. I use 2 models from Anthropic, and then I've got a free model sitting here on my machine that does some the work from Jan as well. Now, Perplexity, remember them? They've come out with what looks like basically an operating system for your life. And for me, Jan is a little bit like that. Like I'll have something, an idea in the car or whatever, and I'll just text Jan via voice mode and she'll take care of it for me. So Perplexity, I haven't had to play with it yet. If you have, I'd love to know what your thoughts are. But they're a small player in a very, very big pond. So it'll be interesting to see how they go. But rest assured, OpenAI is definitely coming out with a personal assistant. They've bought OpenClaw, for goodness sake. And these agentic assistants are doing things that I wouldn't have thought possible. Like the video stuff is great, but it's things like, I want to get a report on my desktop every morning on client health, right? And so Jam will go and look through my emails. She'll go and look through our project management system, and she'll go and have a look at the technical performance reports that are done daily as well. And then she'll give me a score for that client based on when I last contact them, outstanding tasks, health of the site, all of that sort of stuff. And, I couldn't pay someone to do that. That'd be just trying to find someone with that skill set to be able to put together that analysis for you is difficult. But we can program it now. We can write it now. And that's why I am so, bullish on an agentic web. And that's why when we look at e-commerce stores these days, we're not just looking at things like, what's your content? I mean, that's important, but how does AI understand your content? Can they chunk it out? Is it easy to find things that are, dimensions or weights or all of those sorts of things? How easy is it to find those things? Can they find all your policies? Do you have GTINs? All of those things are really important. Google Merchant Center used to look at some of this stuff, but they don't care if you don't have GTINs. Whereas AI and the chatbots don't know how to compare your product to someone else's because you don't have a GTIN. Hopefully that's helpful. Love to know what you think. Love to know if you're using the tools, if you're using Claude Code or OpenClaw, any of those sorts of things. And please like, share, subscribe, and tell your friends. Thanks very much. Bye.